Climbing in the past 5 years has changed a lot over what it looked like at its inception. I'm going to be traveling all the way to ROKC North, which is one of 3 locations in the Kansas City area that makes up ROKC, to try to find some of these new gen boulders and check out the blocks and see what makes people like them or dislike them so much. Before I hand it off to myself at the gym, if you're enjoying this kind of content, feel free to like the video and also drop a follow, it helps me out a lot. So with that said, let's pass it over to myself at the gym.
So I'm at ROKC North. Gosh dang, there's so many flies. As you can see, I'm taping up my fingers kind of like crazy right now. If you watched my first video, you'll probably know that I'm injured, and that has not gotten a lot better, if any, I'll be honest. But we're here today and hopefully just gonna have a fun little session. Goal for today's video is to find a boulder that has the coolest move. Maybe something like a rose move, a cool paddle. I know that this location and most of the ROKC gyms don't really tend to set super like compy and in that style, but I think there's probably still some cool things to be found here. So just gonna go around, have a pretty chill session maybe. This is the gym space kind of, well, just a part of it, but it's pretty modest here. It's nice though, definitely has everything you need. Oh, I am feeling sore. Pretty much just gonna go around, do a little bit of a warm up before I hop on the wall. Don't know how much of this I'll leave in just because this is pretty boring stuff. Yeah, we'll see. Did not realize they have a whole hangboard set up right here. I was warming my fingers up on like some V0 footholds and I felt like a douchebag. And now I feel even more so like one after seeing this. I've been here before also, I should just remember. Definitely on me. I did a couple warm-up climbs. Only recorded one, the other 2 were kind of boring. I think I'm probably warm enough to start actually getting more set up on the wall. So let's go do that. Oh, I don't know if anyone watching this has seen the TikTok of me trying a human flag for the first time, but it didn't go super well. I wasn't super good at it. So I've read some of the comments. There's a couple helpful things in there actually, and we're gonna try this again for the 2nd time. Okay, so I think I need to have a wider base. That was one of the bigger things. Also just going into it like slower and more controlled, which just makes sense. That felt better, but still hard. Let's try the other side maybe. That was better. Okay. Other side is actually maybe more coordinated, surprisingly.
After attempting the human flag again, I moved on to what should have been warm-up climbs or warm-up boulders, and it didn't end up going super great. The first boulder I'll definitely just blame on myself because I don't know what was going on, but I just couldn't read and I had no idea what to do for this sequence. So I moved on to a different one, and this one just hurt my finger like crazy. But it was still really annoying to go away from it because I had already fallen off the first one like a few times, and it was supposed to be a warm-up along with this one. All these boulders were on the same wall, starting on the left side, and I eventually made my way right, which is where I should have started, then I probably wouldn't have to deal with all this. So after falling on both of these boulders that should have been warm-ups, I went on to this third boulder, which I ended up not flashing also because of a tragic foot slip.
Dang it.
You'll see this boulder kind of involved a first big move throw to this really good jug, and then you just kind of have to own it a little bit. On the second attempt, I was able to keep my left hand on, which made it a lot easier to stick. And then from here, I probably should have done a better job of reading the boulder after. I thought it'd be pretty free, but you had to get this kind of unintuitive feeling heel hook. I really didn't think I'd be placing one here to cross over your body, and then you just kind of build your feet and work up from there. And it was a little bit harder at the top than I thought it would have been, which is why you'll see me fumble around a little bit. This is also one of the few boulders that tops out so you don't see me fall dramatically like I do on every other boulder.
There's many aesthetic boulders here. This red one is one of them. It's like coordination stuff and nice holds. So Let's do it.
After getting done with that coordination style V6 boulder, I ended up moving to that black boulder that I was talking about in the video. Now this boulder, I will say, I expected to flash pretty easily, just kind of by glancing at how long the distance was for this big move, which was kind of the move of the climb. On my first go, you'll notice I didn't have a really good idea of how to do the move, just because it's pretty unique feeling, definitely that new generation style of movement. I ended up being able to stick the move in isolation fine, but then for some reason adding it into from the bottom felt super awkward. I think it's probably because the hold you were on before doing the big swing was pretty slick and kind of greasy. I tried brushing it as much as I could, and as much of a jug as it looks, for the position and all the momentum you're generating, you feel really likely to just kind of dry fire and slip off the hold and like land straight flat on your back. And so I was trying to hold tension kind of tight, which made this move feel really awkward, but it just isn't a very big move. So I was surprised to have struggled on this as much as I did, to be honest. The intro moves on this climb weren't difficult, and you were on pretty good in-cut holds the entire time up. You start on this undercling with just a right foot and your left foot smearing, and then you go into this right hand, and from there you work your feet a little bit so you can go into this left hand, so you're kind of in this even position. And from here, I ended up getting my right foot on this higher foothold of the two to throw up into the jug that you'd be doing the big swing off of. And from here, what I wasn't really able to pick up right away on was that with a lot of moves like this, it tends to be good to completely stop your momentum so you're not swinging at all as you come into match. That way, when you start generating your swing, you're able to do it from a more stable position. Then we finally get into this big swing that you have to generate. With moves like this, you tend to always have to have the thought in the back of your head that you have to just overshoot it. After hitting this big swing move though, the boulder's pretty much over, and you just kind of have to match and then kick a foot over so you can get into this undercling, which is a jug. Everything on this boulder is pretty much just about all jugs, and then from here you can either match or just kind of one arm isolate it and cross over into the final hold. This then brings us to the last boulder of the session, which was this black V8. I didn't climb too much here just because I was kind of crunched again on time, unsurprisingly. I think this is probably just going to be a curse forever in every video I upload, but this last one is a good one. These two holds that you start on, if they were wet, they would feel no different than ice. They were the most slick things I've ever grabbed onto in my entire life. I have no idea how these holds are made, what happened to them maybe even. It's not even that they feel like dual techs, it almost just feels like they're super old maybe and they've been polished like crazy. It kind of makes this intro sequence pretty interesting because of that. Thankfully the holds following these two aren't like that at all and actually do have some texture on them. This boulder definitely had my name written all over it, but I ended up climbing it pretty poorly the first couple times, so it ended up taking me a while to find something that worked for me. For the first move, you end up having to lock off your left hand on the start hold so you can just reach out into this crimp. From there, you get your left foot up so you can go into the first kind of scooped hold that does have texture on it, thankfully. And here is where I found myself getting into trouble the first couple attempts. I ended up thinking that I was probably going to get a heel on the right hand start hold, but that just didn't end up feeling good at all, and I realized right away that that could not have been the method. From there, I ended up trying to get this really high foot, which worked really well. From here, you probably have the option to match or just cross straight over across your head, which is what I opted to do. That felt pretty flowy because then you end up just going into match with your left hand so you can go into the crimp right above it with your right. Then again, you just have to build up your feet a little bit. I ended up getting a heel hook right here on the left hand start hold with my right heel, so I could get into this left-hand scoop. And another area where I was kind of getting confused on this boulder was there was a good amount of stuff to use here, both hands and feet wise, and so I'm guessing there's probably a few different sequences that work here. And at first I was trying to go out to this crimp, which I think you have to do regardless, but from here I was thinking I'd either cross or just go to the good second to last hold, which is a jug, but neither of those ways really ended up working. So one of the attempts I ended up just bumping my right hand up into this kind of scooped hold to get into a Gaston position, and that ended up working super well for me. After hitting that move, you have to get this left foot up so you can match on your right hand, and then from here you're in a really good position so you can reach out to the second to last hold, which is, like I said, a jug thankfully, and then you just cross up into this finish hold, similar to the other black boulder. Definitely one of the more tense feeling moments I've had while climbing a boulder like this. Usually something like this has my name written all over it and really in my style, but I ended up having to try pretty hard on this ascendant in time. I have to admit, I was pretty shocked to see what all ROKC North had to offer and kind of the direction they're heading in with their gym sets. It was nice to see that they had this more new generation style of bouldering up, because when I had gone here, I was really expecting to see more of that kind of old school style where everything's pretty static and locked off with maybe not the best hold selection. The first complex style boulder I ended up trying probably ended up being my favorite of the session, just because it didn't give me a huge flapper unlike the black one, and the final black boulder that I worked on was also something that was super fun. You'll have to let me know down in the comments what your favorite boulder was, and honestly just what you think about this new generation style of climbing. I'm personally a big fan of it. Some people probably think it's too similar to parkour, which I can probably agree with to an extent, but I think it can definitely be done tastefully if it still incorporates kind of the core features of what makes climbing. So as always, thank you if you're watching this video through all the way from the beginning. If you liked it, like it, and if you're not subscribed, do it already, and hopefully I have a new video coming out next week that's even better than this one.